I wanted to make a film black and white, 35mm. It was fantastic to be able to do that. It caused a bit of a stink at the National Film Edit because it had no narration in it. And the manager, a guy called Jeff Scott, said this film will never go out. It's not one of our films. No one's going to know what the hell it's about. That film will never go out. But the producer of the film, a gentleman called Ron Bowie, who was very supportive of the film, managed to sneak it through, and I think it went out with Carry On Up the Khyber, or one of those Carry On films. It must have been fairly baffling, I think, to the audience, because yeah, it didn't go out with the kind of film that I thought it would go out. I was hoping it would go out with some sort of, you know, very dramatic sort of foreign movie in black and white, but no, it went out with Sid James and Hattie Jakes and various people. Beyond Reasonable Doubt, in a way, was kind of like my film school. I worked with some pretty good people on it. Allan Bollinger and Paul Leach, the operator particularly, was really good for a complete novice director. And yeah, I had a wonderful cast, and I learnt a lot. I learnt a huge amount working with them. It was a massive cast, but I had people like Martin Sanderson, David Hemmings, John Hargraves. They were terrific actors, and I don't think any of them realised just how raw I was. I managed to hide my ineptitude from them, and we got a movie out of it. The strength of the film is in the reality of the story, the fact that it is a true story, and that it needed to be told simply. It didn't need a lot of style, and that was very fortunate because I didn't know much about film technique and style in those days. So I basically went about it in a very straightforward documentary style was what we had in mind, and that was my background at that stage, was editing and directing documentaries. So yeah, I went about it and just trying to shoot it in a very, you know, straightforward manner, and it suited the story. But yeah, the strength of it was the story, I think, rather than anything I did. I think the problems of the film all arise from the fact that I was a bit of a one-man band on it. I should have had a strong producer who told me the script was too long or that it didn't make sense in certain areas. Or as an independent director, I might have told the writer that it had to be a little clearer in certain areas. I think as far as my directing went, it was okay, but I think the writing let me down, and I think the producer let me down, but unfortunately I was all three of those people. The other challenge was shooting in Fiordland, shooting in Milford Sound in winter, basically. It was, yeah, that was a challenge. It was very isolated, but once again, what you don't know, it doesn't worry you, so you just launch into it and say, well, why can't I do this? And you get there and then you suddenly realise what you're up against. Inside Straight was great because, again, it was early days of television. We had an enormous amount, we had as much time to shoot one episode as you'd now get sort of to shoot 3 episodes. We were shooting it on reversal, so the film went through the news bath every night, the soup, you know, and we'd get it back. It was kind of rough and ready and a lot of handheld stuff, and it had a lot of energy. It was my first experience of television drama. I'd never done any TV. It was the first television I'd done. And I was kind of reeling, you know, from a bad experience of going to a film market with The Lost Tribe and finding that, and having my, you know, what I'd done wrong sort of laid bare to me. So I kind of retreated to television a bit, and so it was good to just have someone else write a script and the whole production there, and all I had to do was tell the story, and that was what I wanted to concentrate on, was how to tell a story, because I obviously hadn't done a great job with it in The Lost Tribe. So yeah, it was back to boot camp for me, and that was kind of a bit of a boot camp experience for me, is clarity of narrative and work with characters, and just don't try and get too slick. It's a film that I'm not entirely happy with. I'm not happy with, mainly because I think it was very much a concept movie, and it shouldn't have been. It had all the elements of a gritty, real story, but the producers had made a film previously which they felt was outdated by the time it reached the screen. So they wanted to make a movie that looked like next year. And so therefore, the costumes and the design, it became much more upmarket than it should have been. It was originally set in Christchurch in a very sort of gritty, low-level, low-rent flat. You know, it was hard. The character's life was very, very hard. Instead, this was set in an old choral hall in beautiful location in Paget Street in Ponsonby. The lead character, Liz, there was nothing difficult about her life. She seemed to have plenty of money, leading a comfortable life. The only problem was that she was shacked up with a 16-year-old street kid. Okay, that's tough, but I think Sue had objections to this too. You know, she had written the script, and when she saw it unfold, she was dismayed at the way that her life had been changed and upscaled. She just didn't feel that there was enough. And I think that was the problem with the film, that it could have been quite powerful, and I think it lost a lot of its power through being just too comfortable. But having said that, I think Lisa did a wonderful job, and Leon did a fabulous job with the pictures, and Rob Gillies did a great job with the design. It was but you know, so it all looked good and it played well, but I think it lost a lot of the impact that it could have had. It was a different kind of film, and I liked it because it was a pacey kind of mystery thriller sort of thing. I've always liked sort of film noir as a medium of films. It's I suppose it was my early exposure to them at the State Movie Theatre in Dunedin, you know, when I was a kid. I always liked them, so this seemed to be an opportunity to make a film like that. You know, thus the jazz-ish soundtrack from Jonathan Crayford, which was really nice, and so on and so forth. It had its own issues in that when we put it all together, it didn't quite make sense. So Michael Horton was the editor. We just basically pulled it all apart and reassembled it in a new shape and kind of got it to work. I think possibly it was a triumph of style over narrative, really, in many ways. You know, that was the kind of movie we wanted to make. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to try and make a film noir, and largely successful in some ways, not entirely, but we won't dwell on that. It was interesting, again, just that whole weekly stress and strain and of just making a show that was the same, not the same, it didn't have to be exactly the same, but it had a consistency over 13 episodes. You know, and that I think is the producer's job on a TV series, is to keep track of the bigger picture. Whereas directors you come in for 2 episodes, you're in and out in 6 weeks, and you've got different directors for different blocks. Is just maintaining that consistency of style and narrative all the way through, and that is a challenge in its own right, and a very enjoyable one, and it is a challenge, particularly when you have new directors who come in who aren't familiar with the show, just trying to get them on that track, keeping them on that track, and then making sure at the end of it, when you clean it all up, that it still is. That is the having established what that style is going to be. It was called Safe House, so why not shoot it largely in a house? And to shoot in a house that much, it had to be a studio set. So we found the exterior of the house and then built a studio set, basically roughly to mirror, within reason, to work for us as a production piece, but also to look as if it could have been inside that house. Now that gave us the time, I think, to do it. We could never have shot that if we were shooting on a location in that time. So the intensity of that was fantastic. We had a wonderful cast, terrific cast, and putting them all together in a small space, the intensity that you get out of that. But again, it was a really great script. John Bannister did a fantastic job of the script, and that cast was just a cast to dream for. They were wonderful. Some of those guys hadn't worked with Paul Gittins for 30 years or 20 years, I think. Other Halves was the last time I'd worked with him, and that was great. They were wonderful.